Welcome to the 14th episode of the Daft Previews podcast. In this episode, we preview round 20 of the National Rugby League. My name is Hector, and I'm joined by my co-host, Lycus. Lycus, great news today. Lockdown's been extended another 4 weeks. How's that make you feel, lad?
Fantastic. Can't just wait to stay inside and watch Olympic games with no crowd. Loving it.
It's the best. It's the bomb. What sports have you found yourself watching in the Olympics?
Last night I was watching beach volleyball. I take a great
The men's?
No, the women's in particular. I think just the quality of the event brings great attention, So some really talented women out there on and off the sand, I'll say. Table tennis. Yeah. I always just have like a fascination with people who can play like an event or do something that we can do, but like on another level. And the way they play table tennis is insane. Like it's good to watch that stuff. Watched a bit of the swimming, water polo just then. That was very interesting. I don't know how you can want to take up water polo. It's literally a sport where people are trying to drown you and you're treading water for the whole game. But
it's rugby league in water.
It is. And then I watched a bit of the sevens as well, actually. And I'd be sick if Rugby League Sevens or something had an Olympic event. It'd be sick. But Semi Radradra is playing over in there for Fiji. So there's a rugby league.
I found myself watching women's canoeing today.
Oh.
Yeah, all because I had some money on Jessica Fox to get a medal from Australia. She was a favourite, paying $1.90. $1.90.
It's a medal?
Yep.
Lovely.
She fucking bombed out today, I think. I'm pretty sure. I spent 20 minutes watching it, and I didn't even see her race. I watched
she got the medal.
She got the medal. I think it was gold medal I had her for.
Yeah,
and I was watching all these chicks just go at it, and I was like, fuck, this must be tough. But it was pretty exciting once you figured out what the rules were.
Yeah.
But then I watched it for 20 minutes, then I had to do other shit. Checked my Ladbrokes account, and then I lost. And I was like, fuck, thank you. 5-leg multi. Picked all the favourites in certain sports. They were all happening within a certain period, within an hour. That's how I've been punting lately. Just go next to go for the Olympics and then just pick the faves. Won a couple, lost a lot. But back in Aussies was pretty exciting. But yeah, I didn't get to see her lose my money, but very interesting sport, especially when you see all the times and what they're trying to beat. And you can see the pain in their face when they fuck up in that canoeing thing. Oh, poor cunts, like just paddling against it. But outside of the Olympics, you want to guess who's sponsoring today's podcast?
Oh, I'm going to have a guess that we're getting a major broadcaster on board eventually. So maybe ESPN. I feel like,
Stan Sports.
I feel like a niche TV market, like Stan or something.
Today's podcast is actually sponsored by State Emblem. It's none other than the state emblem for New South Wales, because I wanted to give a big shout out to the New South Wales government. A large portion of the people in this fucking nation did a juicy little riot on Saturday, or a protest, and they just bashed cops. Peaceful protest. But I want to give shout out to the New South Wales government. Did you know that New South Wales had an emblem? It has its own emblems of flowers, an animal, a bird, fish, and a gemstone. Did you know that about your state?
I didn't know that the second half of it. I knew there was a flower, the waratah, and
the
animal.
Well, we've got the kookaburra as the bird emblem. We've got the black opal as a gemstone. We've got the waratah. As a fish, we've got the blue groper.
Oh, yeah.
As an animal, we've got the platypus. And we even have one as a fossil, which is a Mandageria fairfaxi, the New South Wales state fossil emblem, which was a fish, a large air-breathing lobfin fish from Canawindra fish bed in central New South Wales.
They should just put carp as our fish now. I feel like that's where the problem is. And then either plovers or a magpie as our animal, because it just seems to be swoopy season in New South Wales all the time.
Oh, way to get swept. But yeah, so not only are we bringing you sports previews, bit of banter, bit of drunken behaviour, but a little bit of education about this unknown state of New South Wales. Because I wasn't aware of many of those, I must be honest. But I went through the public school system, and I struggled immensely. So for me, learning that was always going to be a challenge. But before we talk about all the other deficiencies in my life, let's talk rugby league. So we've got 8 games to get through. Kicking off on Thursday evening this is at BB Prince Stadium in Mackay. We've got the Sydney Roosters taking on the Parramatta Eels. The Eels are the favourite for this one. There's a 5.5 line, 4.5 line, depending on where you bet. The Roosters decimated with more injuries last week. They had their backup outside backs, Billy Smith and Ikuvalu, both cop some ankle injuries, couple syndesmosis here and there. So that means the 45-year-old Josh Morris comes back into the centres, and backup hooker half Adam Kieran slotting into the right centre with Joey Manu being forced out to the wing. For the Eels, I guess the big in is Tom Opacek. He was rested after some family tragedies, so he's back into the centres. Will Penasini made his debut last week, and he's gone back to the reserves. And Nakora's out with a knee injury, which brings Bryce Cartwright back onto the bench. This is the only game of the round where the odds haven't shifted from last Sunday, being 3 days ago. Team list came out today. We saw a lot of the odds move. This one, we didn't see too much movement. But Eels being the favourite, being played out in Queensland, how do you see this one going?
This one, I reckon this would be probably the best game of the weekend. And Para, I think, were in the best game last week. I think the Canberra Para game, I've never seen so many people excited to see a 0-0 scoreline at halftime. So I think this is going to be, I think this is the game of the round. But I think Para in a must-win spot as well. Roosters still cruising along.
You can't call this game of the round. We haven't gone through the other ones yet. We've got to build excitement through the games.
Oh, sorry, I forgot the Titans Bulldogs game. We'll save that one at the end. But so even though their for and against is quite a fair bit higher, they're only 2 points ahead of the Roosters. So a win for them basically gives them that 4-point buffer and that top 4 spot, which I think this season top 4 is just as valuable as previous seasons because there is no real home ground advantage. So you're going to be playing the top 2 team regardless at a neutral venue. So I'm taking the Eels in this one. I think they're going to improve on last week's performance, and I think the Roosters with Kieran in the centres, that's signalling a very depleted team. And if you go through that Roosters team this year, they are missing so many players, and I think it gets to a point where they're going to hobble into the finals and hope to get a couple players back, but I'm taking them on the line there with that one. I think, the -4.5 they cover. Anytime try scorers, I've gone a little bit form with my picks. I think Dylan Brown at $3.40 will get over. He maybe with Mozart, he's taking on more of the attacking duties in terms of taking on the line, chasing kicks through. He's very quick, I've noticed. So
he is.
Yeah, I'm jumping on him at $3.40.
Ooh, that's a great way to kick off your round if you nail those 2 suckers. I had a look at the team list. I found it's quite even, this team list. Both have strong forwards. They've got some excellent backs, some quite average, but both teams have very young halves. So interested to see which pair of halves are going to step up. I think out of the 4, Dylan Brown has the best form out of all 4 halves. Hutchison is just average at everything and gets through his work, whereas Sam Walker's rocks or diamonds. Lately, he hasn't been that flash. His long balls have been quite predictable, and they've been quite high. Like, they're not dead straight either, so it takes a while for them to land. Like, if he was throwing solid cutout passes, Tupou would have gone over for 2 last week, but they were just so long and high.
Yeah.
Just losing its effect. And I think getting bashed around every single week with someone at his age, with his body, it's probably not helping him at all. But I guess the lineup, the matchup that I'm looking forward to seeing the most is the second rowers. Papali'i is matched up against Tupanua in this one.
Yeah.
Freakish second rowers, both of them.
I agree.
All destruction. So really keen to see those blokes just bang it out. But I see Parramatta taking the win on this one. I agree with you that there's too many changes too often with this Roosters team. And when you move someone like Joey Manu, who outside of Tedesco is your biggest strike weapon, you put him on the wing,
Yeah.
you're going to limit his effectiveness there. Whereas Parramatta has wingers that only do their job and can't do anything else. And they've got players all playing in their natural positions. So I think Parramatta will also bounce back from last week's disappointment. I think that loss will do them good. For my anytime try scorer, I was leaning to Reid Marnie because I can see him scoring, but I think something a bit safer because I've got a track record for this. Tom Opachik. He's got a pretty strong strike rate. He usually scores 2 meters out. There's nothing fancy in how he goes about his work. He's just there for an offload or something loose, and he always just seems to get there. So I'm going with Tom at $2.80. The first game on Friday at 6 p.m. Now, this one, when the lines open, this is almost $1.90 each. The West Tigers versus the New Zealand Warriors. If you're smart enough to get on this early, because if you watched the game last week, you would have seen how many injuries the Warriors had. But then the news of RTS leaving, more outs, more surgeries, more injuries, and suspensions. Everything's heavily gone to the Tigers now. So the line for this one is 5.5 to 6 points, depending on where you punt. Tigers being the favourite. For the Tigers, we've got Luke Garner's out, bit more syndesmosis. Unfortunately for the Tigers, Joe Offengowie's been promoted to start. Moses Mbai is going to be starting as well. For the Warriors, Peter Hiku, when was the last time you saw him play a game?
Oh, it would have been during lockdown last year. He's the ultimate rocks and diamonds.
Yeah, he's a whole bag of rocks, this bloke. There's a couple of diamonds in there, but there's a lot of rocks, and he's getting pretty old. He's been named to start, and he's going to be the captain.
And 5'8". He's at 5'8" as well. He's not even in position. Oh my
yeah.
God.
So he's never been a captain before, never been a 5'8", hasn't played this year. So interested to see how that's going to go. But best of luck to you, Warriors fans. The Warriors have been absolutely fucking me with a full strength side. The fact that now RTS is definitely gone. Cody Nikorima's on the bench for some reason, who is a great 6. You got Peter Hiku starting at 6. Townsend is injured again. Adam Fanua-Blake is out, fucked his finger up. So they've taken Jermaine Tanoa-Brown from the Dragons. They've recalled him back into the Warriors lineup. But how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I just think the Warriors team are done. And the fact that Roger is pulling up stumps before the end of the season just shows that he's clocked out. And I think that's probably the mood in the Warriors camp. Yeah. This is coming up to nearly 2 years now where they haven't played in New Zealand. Like, it must really get demoted. Like, they're constantly on the road away. Peter Hiku, 5'8". He honestly, some games I've seen him play some amazing games in center. He does some, but then the 20 minutes later does some dumb stuff. He's 5'8", and Sean O'Sullivan's halfback. It's weird to say, but Luke Brooks and Adam Dewey are a far more deadly combination and a better combination in the halves than their opposition.
You didn't think you'd hear that, right?
No, and I've watched the documentary, and I know it's very inspiring, but it's crazy to still say that. I think, yeah, they're just depleted. That just shows if they're bringing Hiku as the captain, they just do not have any experience. Like, I know Dallin's captain New Zealand, but he's literally 3-4 games into his Warriors career. It's a very inexperienced, very disjointed, they're gonna struggle in attack, connecting up because they just don't play enough footy together. Versus a Tigers team who can turn it on, can't defend to save their lives, but this is probably the easiest game they're gonna have defensively, I feel. So I think they'll cover that line. I think it's that line 5.5. They'll cover that easily. And also, again, I've been looking at the ladder because you're at that point of the season where I know it's a very separated comp, but there are teams fighting for that 8. And the Tigers mathematically still can make the 8. They're 4 points behind the Dragons and the Sharks, but they have a really good run of games coming up where they need to win these games because I think they play the Roosters and Penrith are the only tough games they've got left this season. The rest of the games they can win. So they need to go on a run here. Taking the -5.5 anytime try scorers. I'm Norfoluma. He doesn't mind the Warriors. Even last time they did play as well was when Tommy Raudonikis passed away, and the Warriors come out and blitzed them. Oh no, sorry, the Cowboys did. And the next week they played the Warriors, and Norfoluma scored a try. So I'm all over Norfoluma here. $1.50.
Get on him. And let's not kid ourselves. The Tigers are aiming for 9th, and they might get there.
Yeah, they're still a bit away there, but they can get it.
Let's back them in. I'm also backing the Tigers to cover this line. I honestly think they'll do them 13 plus. The Warriors are just lacking spirit at the moment, and they've got all these new players in, good players out. It's messy as. I do not like what I'm seeing from the Warriors, and with RTS going, I don't know. You got to support the bloke if you're in his team, but at the same time, you'd be like, "Cuz,
Don't ditch us."
like,
Yeah.
like we're getting flogged already.
Yeah.
Like, and you're gonna go? Like, just I don't know. That would not rub me the wrong way, but I would be less motivated. Like if you're captain and he's probably someone a lot of these players look up to as well.
Yeah.
He takes off. It's like, why the fuck should you? And I think that's the type of attitude we're going to see in this game. So why the fuck should we? They might be competitive for the first 5 minutes, or they might let the Tigers run 60, 70 meters up their field in their first set. But either way, it's not going to look good. An interesting stat, though, the Tigers, despite their low position on the ladder, they're 4th in the NRL in offloads. And they've got 3 players in the top 20, Nofaluma, Luciano Leilua, and Joe Offengawi. So if they get those offloads pumping, Dane Laurie and Adam Dewey, you can see him running straight up the guts of the Warriors, I think. So
No,
I reckon that one's 13 plus.
Their attack is actually not that bad, but if you look at their defense, there's only 3 teams. They've conceded 546 points, and the only other teams who are close to that are the Broncos 560, the Bulldogs 566.
Come on, man. You don't have to bring them up.
But like that's what I mean. Like defensively, they are as bad as the Broncos and Bulldogs, but yet they're still at 12th in math because that's their attack. They throw the ball around. That's the difference with them.
Yeah, I watched NRL 360 the other night, and Buzz and Kenty were going at it over the whole Tiger situation. About Buzz is saying that Madge should lose his job and they should bring in Flanagan because he knows how to recruit. He knows how to recruit good players. But Kenty's saying he fucking recruited good players and they breached the salary cap. He's throwing money under the table. It's not fair to use him and compare the two. So, and then Buzz is going on about Madge is meant to be a defensive coach. Every year he's gone to the Tigers. The points that they give up, it's getting higher every single year. Yeah. And the last 3 games, they're giving up 42 points a game.
It's a big game.
It's massive. But this has potential to be one of the games of the round, the next one. At 8:05, Suncorp Stadium. Both of these teams lost last week, but both were expected to lose by a lot, and they didn't. It's the Brisbane Broncos. I was going to say mighty, but let's not kid ourselves. It's the Brisbane Broncos versus the North Queensland Cowboys. One of my least favourite props in the side, Tom Flegler's been suspended for that high shot. No surprise there. Keenan Palacia moves into the starting side. Average front rower, but he's young. He'll probably hit his peak in 5 years. But TC Rabati's on the bench, which is pretty exciting. He's a try-scoring second rower, so interested to see how he rolls. Danny Levi's been recalled to the bench, so he's rocks and diamonds. Danny, he's excellent. He's the type of guy that makes a line break from dummy half and then knocks it on. That's the type of player Danny Levi is, so I'm excited. We'll see some spark. For the Cowboys, they're sticking with the exact same 13 that they had last week against Melbourne, which means Jake Granville's playing fullback once again. So the line on this one is 1.5 points to 2 points, depending on where you punt. The mighty Brisbane Broncos are favourites in this one. We did have a 100% success rate as favourites, but recently that was ruined against the Tigers. So a 50% success rate as favourites is not very convincing at all. So, yeah, look, it took me a very long time to make my selection, but I don't think it took you that long. What are your
It
thoughts on this game? How's this one going?
didn't take long, but I think this is the hardest game to pick because even you look at it historically, there's times where you thought the Broncos would thrash the Cowboys, and it's always close with these two teams. I feel like it doesn't matter. There is obviously been blowouts in the past between them, but like these, they dished up a one. It was literally a game Brisbane probably should have won earlier this season, and it was a Val Holmes 40-meter field goal
Oh,
downtown that won it.
and that's when Kyle Felt did that fucking robot arm bullshit to score that try.
Yes. So I've gone the Cowboys plus 1.5 based on last week and how well they put up a fight. But this is a game where Broncos would be up for, regardless of how their season's traveling. They always do fire up for these games. So this game honestly is very hard to predict. But the only thing with the Cowboys is they've gone Granville at fullback again. Like, why wouldn't you play Ben Hampton back there? Like, what's the deal? I don't understand why they wouldn't. Or like, yeah, that baffles me. That's the only thing I'm worried about is Granville fullback. Brisbane have an extra week to prepare because that was a last minute change that threw everyone off against Melbourne and actually blew the line out to over 30 points, 32 or something, 32 and a half, and they covered that comfortably. But now that a team has a week to prepare for him at fullback, they're going to put him under a lot more pressure than the Melbourne Storm did. But I'm still going to take back my guns, take Cowboys plus 1.5. So then if it's a 1-point win to Brisbane, I'll be happy. In terms of try scorers, you just said about him earlier. He loves like a big game try against the Broncos. Sorry to bring up your grand final, but Kyle Felt, $1.90.
I just don't think he'll be that motivated. He's already got 100 career tries. Like,
that's true.
Why would you? Like, why do you need any more?
Yeah,
he's caused enough damage.
Pretty good strike rate though. I know they've won a comp, but 100 tries in about 147 games, not bad.
Yeah,
if you have, and that's why people always have him in multis. If you can get him near $2, like that's a 50-50 shot, and he's scoring more than two every 3 games. So
what's crazy though is that he does it as a right winger.
Yeah,
I reckon like there aren't many teams where your top try scorer is a right winger. I think the only one I can think of was Brett Morris.
Yeah.
For everyone else, it's down the left.
Yeah.
Or Charlie Staines as well. Charlie Staines has picked up lately.
Right to left passing and
yeah. Your left side wingers are the ones that normally score the most. So, I was really on the fence about this. I tried to put my emotions aside and tried to think logically because I need to hit this multi. And I'm leaning towards Brisbane, not because I've got thousands of dollars invested into Brisbane's merchandise and their future and my street cred on the line. I'm just thinking of the Tom Dearden factor. The Cowboys are great last week, but that was all Drinkwater. If Drinkwater plays good, they've got a chance.
Yeah.
But Tom Dearden him and Brodie Croft are the worst number 7s, full-time 7s I've ever seen. And we had both of them. Yeah. We had them both. So we see them match up against each other this week. Like Tom Dearden's kicking balls out on the floor when he's standing in the middle of the field, which is pretty crazy, kicking him out on the floor. Brodie Croft is falling over the line with the ball and still offloading it anyway. You're just butchering tries. But I'm leaning towards my man Brodie on this one because I've seen Brodie play a good game. I have never seen Tom Dearden play one yet.
No, it's the old like Anthony Milford story. People always like, name me a time post grand final where Anthony Milford played the game you remember he was the best player in the field, and nobody can remember. And I feel
there was one game.
Tom Dearden's going into
I
that
can remember
category.
one.
Yeah, one.
Yes.
One out of how many? Tom Dearden's going to that category.
One out of maybe 60.
Yeah, where you're like...
it was that one game last year before COVID against the Rabbitohs. Remember that one?
Yes. Fafita had a field day too. I remember that.
Yeah.
Wayne Bennett sat behind the goalpost with Sam Burgess.
Yes. That was Milford's last good game.
Yeah,
but I remember that because I'm a fucking idiot. But I'm leaning towards Brisbane to cover the line. You can get the line at $2 on Ladbrokes. For anytime try scorers, I've gone Corey Oates at $1.72. I see that one cranking. I forgot to mention my Tigers try scorer as well. Ken Mamalo. I think both wingers for the Tigers are going to go off, but Ken Mamalo's got slightly better odds. But for the Broncos, I see Corey Oates getting over. He started. I think Ben Ikens urged Kevin Walters to stick with the very same side every single week. So Corey Oates is only going to get better the more that he plays. He played really well last week. It's great under the high ball. He's catching it like an AFL player.
No,
Strong meters and all that. He's slow as shit, but him and Kyle Felt always have some good battles. So looking for Corey Oates to get some meat pies for us on the Friday evening at $1.72. Really keen for that one. The slutty Saturday, first game at 3 p.m. is at Brown Park at Rockhampton. So they're looking to really spread these games around because the fields can't handle all the damage, the wear and tear. So this game at Brown Park at Rocky, we see the St. George Dragons versus the South Sydney Rabbitohs. If you're a fucking lunatic who likes to put 50-leg multis together and looking for sure things, jump on the Rabbitohs at $1.11. I reckon that's value. They shouldn't be that high.
No.
Reason being, are the barbecue boys who've got a couple more people serving their suspensions this week for the Dragons. Jack DeBellin, Jack Bird, and Blake Laurie. They're all serving their ban this week. Farmasuli, Billy Burns, and Tyrell Fuimayano. They're all the new faces in the starting side for the Dragons. Very similar to what's going on with the Roosters. It's just the constant chopping and changing the ins and outs. And the Dragons aren't a great team. And then when you start chopping and changing, it's going to be very difficult for them. I guess everyone knows South's going to win, but you've got to try to figure out about how much. Speaking of South, Cam Murray, he got suspended for a crusher tackle, so he's out. But the Lord of Tinder lockdowns, Jai Arrows, moving back into the starting side to fill the void.
It's a good swap.
Campbell Graham's back. It's a good swap. And Liam Knight's back for the Rabbitohs. Look, we need a $2 bet on this one. How much do you think the Dragons are going to win by? I mean, the Rabbitohs are going to win by.
I think they're cover line comfortably. And the one thing you've not mentioned is Corey Norman is playing in the centres. He is so slow and awful, and his name. That's how bad the stretch they are. They're gonna play Corey Norman at centre. Like,
shit!
If I don't know if it's right centre or left centre he's gonna play because I've never known really where they line up. Amoni, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna play right centre. I don't know, but they're just gonna run traffic at him all day, and it's. I don't think Jared Beale. I think Beale will be playing inside Jared Beale gives you much hope. So.
That's pretty poor.
How desperate the Dragons are. They're playing Corey Norman, and I've seen he's not fast. So he's playing centre. So I think they'll cover the line comfortably.
He better not be on their right side because he's gonna have a very long night over there.
Yeah, I don't. Surely Hawk is smart enough not to put him on that side. Just say, all right, we'll stack.
Or we might put him on that side to punish him. You know.
Yeah, true.
You fucking barbecue going prick. You sit on this side and tackle Kaloa Matangi all night, all right?
I don't know. But South, minus 22.5. I'm jumping all over that. The try scorer, he hasn't been like the craziest amount of form in terms of try scoring, but I've gone Cody Walker. I think he will take him on a bit more. And I remember Charity Shield earlier this year when Rabbitohs put a cricket score on them. I think he scored 3 tries in the first half or something. So I think he'll back himself to score here. And he has a good history against the Dragons. And he's paying $1
Ooh. $1 what?
60 City.
For Cody Walker? Fuck me. I've got the exact same selections. But I'm using Ladbrokes. I got Cody Walker at $2.20.
You're kidding me.
If there's ever a discrepancy in the market, mate, I'll find it. Not intentionally. But got him at $2.20. I reckon he's going to go off. He's really fine. He's finding his try scoring form again. He went a little bit quiet. But now that Alex Johnston isn't there, he's probably not willing to pull the trigger on those long balls to the source.
Yeah.
Even though Mansell scored, twice last week?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Unbelievable. But if you just if you're on that left wing,
that was catching put down. It wasn't like Mansell 3 players to score.
No, didn't have to. But yeah, I'm backing Cody Walker as well. I don't like the Dragons. They got absolutely flogged by the Titans, and it should have been a lot closer than it was. But Ben Hunt's been their best player all year, and I think he's had enough. He didn't play that good on the weekend. He seemed stressed. He was frustrated by the whole thing. Poor Jaden Sullivan paid his first game last week, and they got pumped, and he's going to get pumped once again. Yeah, it's just not happening. Tarek Sims, his form's gone down since Origin.
Yeah,
Shocking.
he had a big matchup on the weekend against Dave Fafita, and they played Fafita back into form.
Yeah, played him straight into form. So I see Rabbitohs winning. If you want a roughie, Tom Burgess is your guy.
Yeah. Got a couple
Tom
last
Burgess
week.
is your man to score. Yeah, he scored quite a few this year too.
Hmm.
It's a good year for try scoring in general, but a lot of the second rowers and even props, they're getting over their strike rate has doubled. So
Yeah,
even Mark Nichols, he scored a few tries this year.
he
I've seen him
has.
score heaps.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, the front rowers are going off. But that's all I have to say on that game. So let's not waste our time on it. It's going to be an absolute blowout. Should be easy with those selections. Your game at 5:30 on Saturday at Suncorp Stadium is the Newcastle Knights versus the Canberra Raiders. Pretty much even when odds opened up, but this has really drifted towards the Raiders. So Raiders on Ladbrokes 3.5 the line. What is it on Sportsbet?
Sportsbet has 3.5 as well.
3.5. All right, we've got a
Yeah.
3.5 line. Raiders are the faves. Bradman Best is back for Newcastle, so that's a good addition for them. David Clemmer's back, but at the same time, apparently not very happy. But the biggest out and still out for Newcastle Knights is Mitchell Pearce. So
He's named
they're
in the
absolutely
reserves, though. He's in the reserves.
Yeah, but it's a hamstring. It's a hamstring,
and an old player.
And he's old.
Mm.
Would you risk him? I'm not too sure because look what's happening to Sean Johnson.
Yeah.
Fucking Mitchell Pearce is older than him, and Sean Johnson doesn't even run anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sean Johnson goes a whole game without getting tackled sometimes.
Yeah.
He finally started to get tackled the other week. Hammy's gone.
Goodbye.
Bang. Yeah. For the Raiders, big in is Jack Wyden. The big out is Matt Frawley, the bearded one. Elliot Whitehead is also back, so some more tries coming his way, I'm sure. Papali'i's been named to start, which is good after suffering a pretty hectic head knock last week. So Raiders close to full strength. Heavily, they're the favourites now. I see them running away with it, but what are your thoughts on this one? Have the Newcastle got a chance?
The only chance is if Pearce is named and he's fitter than what everyone thinks. Bradman Best being named, he hasn't played a lot of football this year, but he's been very average this year. Last year, they were talking him up to be New South Wales centre. He was damaging ball runner. He doesn't seem to be as threatening. A couple of mates tipped me off and they reckon he's on the gear just by his body mass. They obviously have experience, but that's not confirmed, by the way. So don't sue me. Yeah, Phoenix Crossland, Jake Clifford don't scare. Like they need, and I don't know if Whiten coming back in is the best thing for the Raiders. I think they showed last week that maybe Whiten. I don't know. I'd still go Whiten back at fullback and
I'd put him at fullback too.
Put Frawley, and then put Rapana on the wing, and that is a scary looking Canberra team. But nonetheless, that forward pack is clicking now. They're
berserk.
They're gelling.
They're twerking.
More. It's similar to Rabbitohs. Maybe Ricky's getting them for that run at the right time. So they go on a run now, and I think they will go on a run. They'll win a few more games. They'll beat Newcastle. They'll cover the line -3.5. In terms of try scorers, it was one where I've gone the opposition. I've gone Ponga. I think Raiders will concede. Even though they did only keep Parrott to 2 tries, but I think if it's going to score, it's got to go through Ponga. Whereas Raiders, I know you could easily pick a forward because Whitehead scores, Harawira Nair loves a try, even Starling off the bench, but like they don't have that out and out try score like Jared Croker can't score to save his fucking life. Rapana at fullback maybe, but like they don't have like just a reliable try score, and I'm just going Kalen Ponga because I think Knights would be desperate and it's got to come through him. So he's paying $2.45. I got him for on 365. I'm sure he's probably $6 in Sportsbet after hearing that last. But that's my pick. He's actually $2 on Sportsbet. Get that one up here. Made that one back. But yeah, that's how I see it. How do you see it?
Yeah, I reckon Raiders dust them up. 13 plus if Mitchell Pearce is out, but Raiders are absolutely peaking. And the best time to bet on teams is when they're on the uptrend.
Yeah.
Because the bookies don't see value in them yet. Like, it's the perfect time. I reckon they do them 13 plus. I have a single play on that on the weekend. I'll make it nice and juicy. But I'm just trying to think of if there are other teams on a similar trend which are being ducked, like people are just missing at the moment. But nothing really comes to mind. But you can also get teams.
Manly were that team a few
Manly
weeks
were,
ago.
yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh, Manly a different team with Turbo," but people underestimated how good Manly were with Turbo, and now they're talking them up as a premiership threat. So, yeah, got them a few weeks ago. You're covering lines for fun, but
yeah, and I think there's also value if you can catch teams on the downside as well.
Yeah.
And I think the Roosters, surely the Roosters are one they're trending down. And next week, depending on who they play, they might be favourites, but there's a chance for an upset there because they haven't been good. They've just been sneaking away. Yeah, who are they versus?
They should be playing a Penrith team with a lot of their players back. So with Cleary
okay. So they won't be favourite. 19 plus. 19 plus next week. Book it in. I might change that to 23.5. We'll see. Whatever the line is. But I see Canberra running riot on these blokes. It is at Suncorp. It'll be dry. The Raiders were just ravenous on the last week. Like, they won purely out of intensity. They just overwhelmed Parramatta. Just so much intensity. The forwards were going absolutely mental. The backs are pulling through meters. Like, they've got great runners everywhere. Problem is they don't have many playmakers, which is why Frawley was, surprised to see him not in the team. So they're just gonna run through the Knights. But at the same time, the Knights have been pretty loose. The Knights have great forwards, but defensively they're pretty average when they all work together. So see the Canberra just running straight through them. My anytime try scorer in this one is Corey Harawiranara. He's offload. He's in great form, that bloke. He's offloading the ball like crazy. He's breaking the shitload of tackles, and then he grows a couple of inches when he's closer to the line. So I can definitely see him going. And because Canberra don't have playmakers, it's a waste to go out the back.
Yeah.
When they run through their plays. So if they just go short ball to the second rowers, and it's going to be Corey Harry is going to run over Clifford or Crossland, whoever the fuck it is. He's just going to be running over them the whole time. So I can definitely see the one of the second rowers going over, but I'm backing Corey. But we shall see how that one goes. This is being promoted all over Fox Sports, this very next game. Saturday evening, Suncorp, 7:35 p.m. We've got the Melbourne Storm versus the Penrith Panthers. I'll let you go through the ins and outs on this one for your mob. And then just get straight into how you think it's going to go. Yeah, well, because I usually decide what are the big things to call out, but fuck, I'll leave this one up to you. What are the big ins? What are the big outs? Talk me through Penrith's team.
All right, so Penrith are basically missing half a team now. So To'o's been diagnosed with the old syndesmosis and a little split lip. So he's going to take 6 weeks for that lip to heal. To get back in, they reckon around 6 weeks he's going to go undergo surgery. So he's basically week one.
Is it really 6 weeks?
Yeah, so he has up to 6 weeks, they say, depending on how bad it is. So worst case,
300 meters a week you're missing.
Yeah, so that's your first dent. And that's week one of the finals, basically. I think he's back. So he's gone for that. Then a win, I feel, for us is Tyrone May, who's done his MCL, who's out for a while as well. So he could be gone for a while. So it means Brett Naden comes into centre, and then they move Matt Burton into the heart of the Y. Cleary, they reckon's another week away, which I think is pretty smart resting him because they're also missing Isaiah Yeo, who basically got KO'd by your boy Flegler in the first few minutes the other week.
Yeah, we hit hard. We hit hard, mate.
And then you've also got Fisher Harris, who's gone out of the bubble because his partner's having a child. So then you've got Liam Martin moving into the front row starting, and then Matt Eisenhuth coming to lock. And obviously Appy's still out for another week because he's been texting some girls while in New South Wales camp. So that's the big change. Penrith are basically, they're missing arguably the best prop of the year from Fisher Harris, the best half going around Nathan Cleary. one of the form hookers,
Best winger.
Api Coruscant, and easily the best winger in the comp at Brian Toto at the moment. So they're missing quite a bit of depth, and arguably Isaiah best 13 in the game as well. But he is up against Daft, who's a quality 13, but played New South Wales 13 and kept Travojevic and Cam Murray out of that position and is a gun. So very understrength Penrith team. I'll run through the Melbourne team as well. They just seem to time it perfectly because they get Cam Munster back, they get Darfanukin back, and the grubbiest player in the game, Felice Kafusi, back as well.
He is a fucking dirty bastard, isn't he?
He is. And then they also get this guy called Harry Grant, who's named in the reserves, back. And
Jordan Grant. Don't forget about Jordan Grant.
Jordan Grant, yeah. But then they've got the luxury of picking a bench with a guy called Ryan Pappenhausen, named 17. So Nico Hines still keeps his spot. Gosh, what a shame. So Melbourne are just about near. Obviously, players coming back, but they're nearly at that. It's a full strength squad, just about. There's not many players that are out of this squad that aren't going to be there come grand final day because they're basically a lock for grand final. Nelson Asafa-Solomon has been left out. I don't know why, but he's been left out. So
Finger. I think his finger's fucked.
Oh yeah, that's right. He fucked a couple of weeks ago. But the line in this one, whilst it opened up pretty close because there was rumours that Cleary was going to play, and before Toto's Moses and Isaiah Yeo got knocked out and everything, it's now out to 18.5 on Sportsbet. How do you see it?
I see Melbourne getting the win. That line is quite big. I am respecting Penrith's defence in this one. I don't think they have enough points in them to win, but I think Ivan Cleary is a good enough coach. I think the culture in Penrith is good enough to galvanise the boys to get up for this game. They were clearly looking forward to this one last week because they were fucking switching off against my boys. So I'm backing Penrith to play some real solid defence. I think they'll only give up points if they're really worn down or Melbourne put together something magical. So I'm backing the under on this one. Under 48.5 points. That's how I see this one going. With try scorers, I've gone Brandon Smith, $2.30 on Ladbrokes as my anytime try scorer. I think once they just throw this all-star forward pack at the Penrith Panthers for about 5 minutes on their own line, Brandon Smith, just a cheeky one out of dummy half. Pure heart determination to get over and start a brand new streak. What about you? You got any faith in your boys getting up?
I don't have any faith at all. I think there's too much class missing. I was really looking forward to this game with both teams being full strength because early in the year it was one of the games of the season. But Melbourne, on 365, you can get a minus 16.5 just to be safer, and I would take that. You talk about Penrith's defense, but the worry was last week against the Broncos, Penrith missed 69 tackles against the Broncos. That's every player missed a tackle bar Tyrone May. I literally bagged him out this time, but he was the only one who didn't miss a tackle last week, which is even more worrying. But it's the players that are missing tackles, like Mitch Kenny missed 8, again, not our usual starting hooker. Liam Martin missed 8, he's going into the forwards. Our forward pack just missed tackles for fun last week. So that's my worry. I think Melbourne, it's a bit weird, but I don't think a Melbourne flogging Penrith would change people's minds about the comp. I feel like if Melbourne don't win by a lot, then there'll be a lot of hope in, Penrith going, well, if they get Cleary and all these boys back, they could do them here. So I feel like this is as weird as it is, it's a big game for Melbourne because they did play pretty poorly against the Cowboys last week. They did give Cowboys a lot of opportunities, and I think they need to show that they are the real deal, obviously, in terms of not falling out of a form, because if they don't pump Penrith or they lose to Penrith, there'll be real question marks about the Melbourne Storm team, which is weird to say. But anytime try scorers, Brandon Smith, he didn't score last week, but he loves to go from dummy half, as we all know, and Penrith like to concede dummy half tries, and he did actually score against Penrith earlier in the year from dummy half as well at $2.
What? Hey, Ladbrokes wins again. $2.30 versus $2. $2.30.
Sportsbet have him at a ridiculous 263. Oh my days!
God damn, you done fucked up. Let's jump into this Sunday. Sunday's got a host of awful teams, but Turbo's playing. But the very first game on Sunday at 2 p.m. at Seabar Super Stadium at the Gold Coast is the disappointing Canterbury Bulldogs, who cost this lucky punter $2,600. Up against the Gold Coast Titans, who are probably on an uptrend. Probably. They are the Gold Coast Titans, so let's not get on them too early. But for the Bulldogs, Adam Elliott, he returns from injury. Luke Thompson, out suspended. Josh Jackson back at 13. Flanagan, he gets another crack. Lachlan Lewis he's been relegated to the extended bench. Barrett's not a big fan of his, and so he basically has to play good in order to keep his spot. Didn't play that great last week. For the Titans, Patrick Herbert, he's been charged, and I think he's been suspended as well, Patrick Herbert.
Yep.
Isan Masters takes his place. Brian Kelly's got a bit of syndesmosis himself, but he's still been named to play. Dave Fafita, the big boy, $1.2 million. He's back in the starting lineup. Hopefully he's found some form. Even when he was playing shit, still scoring tries.
That's crazy.
The line on this one, I got it 13.5 on Ladbrokes. I don't know if you saw it differently, but how did you see this one going?
Yeah, Titans. I think Titans cover the line. And then similar to what I worried about with Penrith, missed tackles. The Dogs missed about 55 missed tackles last week. And again, it's
in line with their average.
Yeah, it's in line with, you got your players like your Jeremy Marshall Kings, those edge players, Jake Avarillo, your halves are just missing a lot of tackles, and that's where Big Fafita is going to be running at, and that's my big worry. They completed 80%, they just missed a ton of tackles and let Sharks just roll through the middle, even though they were competitive at some points, and I thought they would cover that line of 12.5. They just leak way too many points, and I think Titans are going to beat these kinds of teams who just can't defend. It's the teams that just shape up and can stop the feeder once. Then they're like, oh shit, what do we do? That's where I think they struggle, and that's what the theme of the year for the Titans has been. That's why they're sitting where they are on the ladder. So I'm taking them minus 12.5. In terms of anytime try scorers, I'm probably getting duped on this again, but I'm going Brimson. Doesn't mind a meat pie lately. I know Fafita seemed like the absolute easy one to get on, but he was actually pretty short on 365 and Sportsbet. He was only $1.83 on Sportsbet, where you can get $1.91 on 365. So yeah, that's why I'm taking AJ Brimson.
I rate that. I've gone Gold Coast to cover this line as well. I think they'll win easy. Looking through all of Gold Coast wins, they only beat teams they should be beating, and they beat them well. The Dragons are another one. I think the line on last week's game was 5.5. Yeah, fucking clobbered them. Yeah. Absolutely smoked them. It was
over very quickly.
Yeah, so once they get confidence, they can score on anyone. The Titans, they just don't like tackling. But luckily, they're playing up against the Bulldogs, who they prioritize completion rates than they do scoring points.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just one out, average bullshit. Like it's just one out. Their halves run all the time, or give early ball to somebody who's just going to run it straight anyway. So the Titans shouldn't have too much difficulty stopping the points. Even the Bulldogs scored 24 points last week. They're all from bombs. They're just kicking the ball up. They weren't running through for many tries. So I like the Titans to win and win well. Anytime try scorer, I like David Fafita. I reckon he scores more than one, to be honest, but I'm not going to be greedy with it. But I got him at $2.10 on Laddies. Dave Fafita to score. So nice. I really like that one, and probably one of the best bets that I'm going to chuck in. And I'm going to create a brand new best bets multi on top of the one that I already have, and really include the Titans to do a number on these blokes. I'm really confident about them. The final game of the round is at Redcliffe. It's the Battle of the Beaches, Cronulla Sharks versus the Manly Sea Eagles. For the Sharks, Sean Johnson finally ran the ball last week, fucked his hammy up, so he'll be out for at least 4 weeks. They got Trindle and Connor Tracy in the halves. Last time they put Connor Tracy in the halves, they moved him back to the centres, but there's still a chance for that to happen because Matt Moylan's been named to play, but I think he's going to be the 18th man on this one, so we'll see what happens. Aiden Tolman's back after a suspension. So he just moves a winger out of the 21. So he's back in the team for the Sea Eagles. Curtis Sirinen. Fuck, haven't seen this huge bloke for quite a while.
It's been a while.
So he's only played one game this season. So it was the opening round, but he's back in. He's taken the place of Josh Alloway, who was suspended. Sean Kepi has been dropped to the bench. Dylan Walker, HI copped some bad head knocks last week, but he's been named at 14. I guess the main thing that everybody wants to know is Turbo playing, and he fucking is. Turbo, DCE in, Ola Kawatu's in, Schuster's in, Jake Travojevic is back, baby, ready to make a mess of these blokes. The line on this one is only 16.5 points on Ladbrokes. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, Manly are another team who are just making their run at the right time, and people are even saying, are they the fourth team in that top four? Are they better than the Eels? Which I think they are at the moment.
They are. They won't get a better record, but they definitely are the better team.
They're 4 points behind Para. I don't know if they play Para in the run-in, so I don't think they can catch them for fourth, but they are literally the team outside the four. Wherever these top four teams lose in week one in the finals, you don't want to be running into Manly the following game. They'll cover that line comfortably. We talked about the Sharks. Johnson gone. They're just walking wounded. Johnson wonders why he hasn't been re-signed. He's literally the definition of a tampon. So I feel they'll cover that line comfortably. I can see, as you talk about bombs, they were conceding on bombs. I could see Tommy Turbo scoring from a bomb. I could see Garrett going up and scoring. I don't know, kind of they don't jump over there or something, but
stay grounded, boys.
They made the Bulldogs look like an aerial threat, which they aren't. So yeah, I'll take them there, and I've gone Tommy Turbo pretty short for the last one as my anytime.
Coward.
Yeah, well, if I'm down to him for the win for this multi, then I am going to be very happy watching this game. So, or very very pissed off afterwards, going how. But $1.50 on 365. He's $1.36 on Sportsbet, so I've got the value on Sportsbet on that one as well. So, how do you see it?
Yeah, I've got Manly running right on these blokes. Getting into the business end of the season, Manly need to get as high as they can within that top 8. Then they have to knock off these. Well, I guess they've been doing it anyway. Whenever they're every game except for the Newcastle one, whenever they've been expected to win, they win, and they win well.
Yeah.
Last week, Manly only had 46% of the possession when they versed the Tigers, and they still had twice as many tackle breaks, and they had 100 more post-contact meters, and they scored 4 tries in each half, with only getting 46% of the ball. So I see that the Sharks attack to be a little bit clunky. Sean Johnson is the main playmaker within that team, so it's going to be pretty one-out bullshit, maybe an offload, but then a pretty average kick from one of their halves. And then they're going to have Manly just going to have a roll on. I think they'll make a lot of meters. They'll wear these suckers down and score a whole lot of points. Because I'm backing them to score a whole lot, I'm going with Scorpio, Brad Parker to score a try at $2.15. And if this is the last leg that I'm waiting on, I'm very confident in Scorpio delivering. It's going to happen.
I like it.
It's simple as that. But that wraps up the preview for this week's round of NRL. The closing statement that I'd like to make is I put together a fucking juicy multi of my best bets. And I put this on 2 days ago, looking at Sunday evening, being a degenerate, already looking forward to the next round. I put together some of my best bets and threw a pineapple on it. So this week's best bets at the time had Parramatta to cover the line, 5.5. Why the fuck should you? I'll read this verbatim. It says, these pricks were ambushed by Canberra, and they'd be itching to get back into the winner's circle. The Roosters have had their seasons cooked by injuries. They copped 2 more injuries to their backline on the weekend with Billy Smith and Ikuvalu fucking up their ankles. Their depth will be tested on this one. Team list gets named and they chuck Adam Kieran in the backs. So clearly depth being tested on this one. Favour definitely in Parramatta's way. The next one is for Melbourne to win and for the total score to go under. These two teams are ranked 1 and 2 so far this season in defence. Penrith missing some key players, so I'm backing their attack to be shit, which guarantees a Melbourne win. Although Melbourne's attack looked clunky as fuck as they try to fit Ryan Pappenhausen back in. Yep. I expect him to get more minutes, but only to get minutes once the game's actually in the bag, so they can try to work all the rust off him. So once he's back in, I don't expect their attack to flow as well as it has. The other one is Manly to cover the line. At the time, the line was 13.5. I've got in here with Turbo in the lineup. Manly can put a cricket score on anyone. The Sharks just lost Sean Johnson to a hamstring injury, and he's the key point in their attack. Manly will win this one easily. Made that call on Sunday. The line's now blown out to 16.5. I've actually put this bet on, and I can already cash out for profit based on all the movements in the line. So
investor, you're an investor.
I am. Invest early, boys. And the other one, if you guys are interested in cheeky double up, I've got South minus 5.5, Melbourne minus 1.5, and Manly minus 5.5. All relatively safe legs. Multi it up if you power play them. It's $2.20. I know a couple of boys in the Discord dropped $250 each on this motherfucker. Easy way to double your money this weekend, boys.
Agreed.
So get on or get fucked is the last thing that I want to say. What about you, Lycus? Any last words?
Stay safe, gamble hard, win money, pay your way out of lockdown. It's the only way forward.
Take care of your mothers, ladies and gentlemen, or somebody else will.